Hey guys, this is Chad, and we are back here with Dingo Reviews.
And this is Jeremy.
All right, guys, so today we're going to be talking about upcoming films. We're getting towards the end of the year, so we wanted to mention some of our upcoming films we're looking forward to, besides the huge ones obviously coming out. So obviously Frozen 2, we've got Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, we've got the next Jumanji coming out. Those are all films, huge films coming out. We want to talk about some maybe lesser known films that are coming out shortly that we're actually really excited for.
Yeah, these films are awesome. We just have a quick list that we're going to talk about. Ford vs. Ferrari, Knives Out, Parasite, Honey Boy, The Lighthouse, Motherless Brooklyn, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and Jojo Rabbit. It's a huge list of films towards the end of the year. We're going to cram these into about, 2 to 3 months?
Yeah, throughout the rest of November and December here, Jer. And we have mentioned some of these films previously. We've talked about The Lighthouse before. We've talked about Jojo Rabbit. So maybe let's go into some of the other films that we're really excited for at the top of our list. Let's start with Ford versus Ferrari.
All right, so this one is by James Mangold. He also has done a ton of other movies.
Recently, last year, or I think 2 years ago, he came out. He had Logan. He had directed Logan. Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix back in 2005. He also did The Wolverine right before Logan. So he's got a great filmography. Ford versus Ferrari. We obviously got Matt Damon and Christian Bale, two great actors. So, Jared, why don't you talk about what's kind of exciting for you on this film?
Yeah, so what's really exciting for me about this film is that from all fronts, from what I've heard on all kinds of film news, this movie is one of the rare movies that appeases all viewers. It really covers everybody from just the casual film goer to, film nuts like us.
Yeah.
From what I hear, it has amazing cinematography.
Okay.
The direction is top notch. The acting, of course, is amazing. And then also the score, the sound design. I just hear everything is good. And what's interesting is that this is one of those movies I think that benefits from maybe having sort of a simple story, which is that it's a retelling of history. So they have a very structured, this is what happened. And it's basically about one race team trying to beat another race team.
Very simple, straightforward, and like you said, retelling of history. So in case anybody's not really aware of the synopsis, it's regarding Carroll Shelby, who is very well known for designing Fords. It is about him teaming up with Ford and then Christian Bale's character, Ken Miles, and they are battling Ferrari to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1966.
And it seems awesome. I mean, I just highly suggest, if you haven't heard of this movie, just YouTube a trailer of it and you probably will be excited to see it. This is going to be good for everybody to check out.
So let's move on to the next film we had talked about here. So Knives Out. This is kind of a whodunit thriller directed by Rian Johnson, who obviously we know as well did The Last Jedi. He did Looper a couple years ago. Our full cast, we've got Chris Evans, we've got Toni Collette, we've got Jamie Lee Curtis, we've also got Daniel Craig. So kind of a investigative thriller, a wealthy family, somebody dies in the wealthy family, they're all together at some sort of family reunion or something, and the investigators go in there and find out who done it, right?
Yeah, I like this because it kind of reminds me of a murder mystery dinner in a way, but it's also done by an amazing director. I mean, he's done Looper. So I think that this is going to be interesting. Also, what I like is that the tone of this is completely different. It seems a little bit quirky, seems a little bit dark, right?
Yeah, I get a very dark comedy feeling from it.
Yeah.
And I love those types of movies. And then you throw in kind of the what's going to happen next, and then, you've got maybe a surprise ending and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't always put my faith in the mainstream critics, but Metascore of 84 already, pretty good.
You said the Metascore. I've recently heard on Rotten Tomatoes. And Rotten Tomatoes, they've got a whole algorithm going on, but it's sitting at 99%. So that means 99% of the critics who have reviewed it so far have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be entertaining and a lot of people are going to like it. The next movie we're going to talk about is one that a lot of people might not have heard about. It's called Parasite. And what's interesting is I actually got interested in this film just from when we go out to LA to watch movies, and I saw the poster.
Yeah.
And I know okay, if a poster's in one of these movie places, it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? They're art houses. And Parasite seems interesting. We've heard a lot of good things about it. It's about a fallen unemployed family who takes a interest in the wealthy and glamorous parks, basically. Essentially, it seems like some sort of sociological thriller.
Yeah.
It's done by a Korean director who, for people who are fans of foreign film, I guess he's done a lot of really good foreign films. I have not really watched any of his movies.
I haven't. I don't think I've seen any of his filmography. And like you said, Jared, I do not know kind of the plot of this film at all. But I've heard great things about it, and that's why I'm excited for it, because the great things I've heard are, it's Oscar worthy. It's getting a lot of award celebration, and that just makes me want to see it. And I think the cool thing is too, maybe not knowing about the movie going in kind of adds to that surprise and everything.
Yeah, what I know about it is, so I've seen the trailer of it, and what I like about it is the look of the film. It looks unlike most films, like as in like the actual like texture and color palette. It's different, and I like that.
Yeah.
Also, this guy has done Okja, which was a Netflix movie, and I was a fan of it. I liked it. It was like a near future type of movie where they were showing how they were unethically like raising these giant intelligent pigs, and this little girl saves one, and they go on an adventure.
Okay.
Anyways, I love that show, so I have a strong feeling that this is going to be good. Also, the director was involved with Snowpiercer, which we're fans of.
We're fans of, yeah. I believe that one, Jared, that was also starring Chris Evans as well. So they've worked together before, but that was an excellent kind of near future film as well.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be good. Definitely one to check out. It's something that a lot of people probably will have to go to their local art house theater, because it's not going to be playing in like AMC.
No, definitely smaller independent film for sure.
Again, a 95 on Metascore, so we're looking forward to that one.
And then moving on, we're going to talk about Honey Boy. So this is a film that was written by Shia LaBeouf.
Interesting, because he's trying this is another instance of a sort of an actor comedian going towards a director role, like Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Right? Jonah Hill did mid 90s,
right?
Yeah.
Written by Shia LaBeouf, directed by Alma Harrell, but it is essentially the story, and there might be some parallels or what, but I believe it's essentially the story of Shia LaBeouf's growing up in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think he kind of said that it's inspired by it. It's not 100%.
Not directly his, but inspired by it.
Yeah, and it seems interesting because it seems like there's a lot of like some sort of dynamic between a dad and his dreams and a son who fulfills the dreams. The son is kind of like a prodigy in a way, and I don't know. It seems interesting. It has a very similar vibe to mid 90s, and also I forgot that one of the actors from that same movie is in this one. I forget his name. I think it's Lucas Hedges. He was also in the movie I was talking about.
Mid 90s. Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but yeah, it has that similar vibe. Seems like a fresh, kind of a younger movie. It's gonna be
definitely excited for that. I've been hearing great things too. Awards talk, and obviously, Shia LaBeouf, like you said, kind of went from that comedic role. He's done a lot of dramatic roles recently, so I think it's going to be a great film.
Definitely. All right, so this one we've talked about before, but I think we just have to give it a quick mention, and it is The Lighthouse. It's a black and white film. I know a lot of people aren't excited about this yet, but they should be.
They should be. I'm definitely looking forward to check it out. It's with William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. Like you said, black and white kind of horror thriller film. We're not really sure. They're in a lighthouse. We're not really sure what the rest of the plot is, but again, hearing great things, and with this podcast, we definitely want to mention out to the smaller films, the independent films that maybe the general audience is going to go see. We want to get them interested in these films. I definitely think The Lighthouse is a film that they should be watching.
Yeah, what I really like about the trailer for this movie, if you haven't seen it, check it out. But what I like about it is it kind of reminds me of like Edgar Allan Poe tales.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
It has that poetic nature to it. There's a part where he says, don't sass the seagulls or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? And essentially, like, I think the bird is like a symbol for something in the movie, and we're going to find out. Anyways, I'm super excited to see that one.
And then let's move on to Motherless Brooklyn.
Yes, starring Edward Norton.
Starring Edward Norton, actually directed by Edward Norton as well.
Yeah. Yeah, what I'm really excited about for this film is that I actually heard Edward Norton on a podcast talking about this movie.
Okay.
And what he talked about is like, he insisted on shooting it in New York, so it's shot in New York. He found old buildings that were from the period and shot in them.
Okay.
So it's very much an auteur's film, and that's what I think is really missing in a lot of movies is an auteur's eye. It feels like a lot of times movies being pulled apart by a lot of different interests, and this one, it's his vision.
Absolutely.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that. It's also interesting interesting that this is based off a book that he became obsessed with after Fight Club.
Okay.
And on top of that, he meshed it with a time era where there was like one sort of businessman who helped or who made sure that who he wanted to get elected as the mayor of New York always got elected from like, I think he said like the 40s all the way to the 70s or something.
Okay.
So this is set on that backdrop. So I'm really excited to see it. And also I heard that they had a lot of difficulties with the technical nature of the film because they used like the old cars and they had to figure out like how are we going to make an old car look fast, stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay. And the next one we mentioned, so Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It is like a biopic about Mr. Rogers starring Tom Hanks. And I mean, the trailers I've seen, dude, I've actually teared up in the trailer. I grew up in the 80s when Mr. Rogers was pretty huge on PBS and everything. So just kind of nostalgia for me. Watching Tom Hanks play the role of Mr. Rogers brings back a lot of memories from when I was a kid. So that's what main reason I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I saw the preview. I'm not I'm not super excited to see this movie. I'm going to see it anyways, primarily because of Tom Hanks.
Right.
For me, Tom Hanks is easily, hands down, one of the best actors and one of the most underrated actors of all time.
Which is crazy that we say he's underrated, but I mean, you know, obviously he's won Academy Award.
He's a huge star.
He's a huge star, but a lot of his roles are so nuanced.
Yeah.
Like he seems to fill and fit in every role he does.
Yeah, and so I think it's going to be interesting. It's one of those movies that's going to be, you know, a real heart tugger.
Yes.
There's probably going to be some crying in it.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we have another movie we've talked about a lot, which is Jojo Rabbit and anti-hate satire.
Yeah, well, okay, I like their tagline on that. So it is essentially follows a young boy in Hitler's army who finds out his mother is hiding a Jewish girl in their home. Directed, we mentioned before, Taika Waititi, and a satire based on Nazi Germany, basically.
Yeah, I like this, especially at a time where the word Nazi is thrown around a lot. I think this is going to be an important movie, and it's probably going to be also, surprisingly, probably going to be a very warm and, kind movie, I think. I actually have looked at it more and more, and I'm actually more interested now than I was a couple months ago to see this.
Well, and I agree with you completely on that. If we look at some of the other movies that the director's done, I mean, he's done Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
Which I'm not really sure how I love the film. I thought it was comedic gold for a Marvel movie. He's also done some other things. He's done What We Do in the Shadows, which was a TV series that was based around vampires.
Okay, I've never seen it, but I want to check it out.
It is. I haven't really looked into it that well, but from what I've seen so far of it, it's comedy. He's got a really dark comedy tone, and I don't know. It's borderline sarcasm, satire, and
it looks like he was involved in Flight of the Conchords too, which I know is a very popular British comedy as well. So that's interesting. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to check that out. I think also what we should definitely mention is that Disney Plus is going to be launching soon, right? Tuesday, and I think we're super excited about The Mandalorian.
Super excited about The Mandalorian. So, from my understanding, Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're going to be releasing weekly episode of content for The Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, I think that's a smart move on Disney's part, especially since everybody basically binge watches everything.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before because you've told me that you sign up for your free version or your free.
You're giving away my secret, yes.
Everybody, our 14 viewers who are listening, but yeah, you sign up you binge watch,
and then I cancel it. Yeah, so what I do is I pay for 1 month. I watch like 3 seasons of an awesome show, and then I cancel that and move on to another.
I think Disney's picked up so far on your trade secret here.
Yeah,
and they're like, no, Jerry, you can't do that anymore because you're going to be stuck to get these weekly episodes.
Yeah, I will say that although I often really despise that Disney owns everything, I'm a fan of everything Disney does.
Right.
Like I love every movie in the Disney franchise. Every movie that has a ride at Disneyland is one of my favorites.
Right.
Like, and for $70 a year, I don't think it would hurt me at all to like drop $70 up front and just have a year's worth of content, because there's going to be so much content that even if I have to wait for certain ones to air, if I can watch like a full season of an old show that I already like,
absolutely, right?
I'm good. Yeah.
And not only just the seasonal content of TV shows, but you've got all the movies.
Right.
So, I mean, we can look at, all the Disney movies, all the Pixar movies, all the Marvel movies, Star Wars,
Nat Geo.
And so not just the movies, what you've got thousands of hours of content. Then you get into the TV shows.
Right.
So, I mean...
And you can download this just like Netflix right now, which I see for families, like this is going to save you on road trips, right?
For sure.
So since a lot of this content is going to be family friendly, but it's going to be family friendly stuff that like with Pixar, adults get more of the jokes than kids, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be, I think, a huge money maker for Disney. It's probably going to change the streaming game. I do wish that they would, at minimum, I think it would be cool if they would release 3 episodes at a time.
Yeah, I guess so.
I would like that better.
We're really excited about The Mandalorian. Then I'm totally excited for all the Marvel shows that are going to be coming out next year.
Right. A lot of people are going to be into The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
I know. I'm checking that out. What else do we got on here? Okay, those are the
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Okay,
that's going to be awesome.
Loki.
The Clone Wars is an awesome show.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the Marvel. There's all 30 seasons of The Simpsons.
All 30 seasons of The Simpsons right to go. So we are looking at the countdown as we speak. We've got 1 day, 13 hours, 6 minutes, and 22 seconds.
Yeah, it's coming soon. So I'm interested to see how this is going to change. But chances are, if you're not going out to the movies this Christmas, you're going to be watching Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, for sure. Get your Netflix in there too if you need to.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for film news. It's a super exciting time for film. And I think what this really shows is that, in a time where a lot of really bad movies are being made and there's a lot of good movies coming out, and film is definitely not dead.
Film is not dead. And we see large box offices from these huge hitters that come out, but we definitely want to make sure that our viewers and listeners know that, hey, the smaller movies are out there and you got to go support them to make sure that other ones like it continue to get made.
Agreed. And I really hope that if you're a listener of this show or if you're just a fan of movies in general, just pick any one of these movies. Just pick one and go spend your $10-15 to see it in theaters. It will help make sure that we have good movies in the future.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. So make sure you check us out on all of our social media. Any comments, always leave here on YouTube. Let us know anything, and we will check it out. Try and do some additional reviews for you guys.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one.